we have failed at something that mattered. Not a small thing. The thing we built our sense of self around. And when it collapsed, we did not just lose a job or a title or a plan. We lost the answer to the question, who am I now? Centuries ago, a tea merchant in Japan faced that same silence. And what he did next changed everything he thought he knew about purpose. His name was Daigo. He had spent 20 years building one of the most respected tea trading houses in Sakai. He knew every grove, every harvest season, every grade of leaf. Tea was not his livelihood, it was his identity. Then, in a single year, a rival merchant undercut his contracts. A bad harvest wiped out his reserves, and his partners withdrew. The trading house closed. He was 42 years old, and he did not know what he was anymore. For months he drifted. He took small work, carrying messages, helping at a harbour, anything that kept his hands busy. But every night the shame returned. He had been someone. Now he was no one. He stopped telling people his name when they asked, because the name felt like a lie. It belonged to the merchant, and the merchant was gone. One afternoon, his work brought him to the edge of a tea master's garden in Sakai. He heard water being poured, the specific sound of water meeting a ceramic bowl, and he stopped. Something in him recognized it before his mind did. He stood at the gate and listened for a long time. The tea master came out and looked at him. It was Sen no Rikyu. He said simply, "You look like a man who has forgotten where he lives. Come in." Inside, Rikyu made tea. He did not ask about the trading house or the failure. He prepared the bowl with the same care he would have given a shogun. Daigo watched the old man's hands, unhurried, precise, completely present. When the bowl was placed before him, Daigo said, "I used to sell tea, the finest grades. I knew everything about it." Rikyu looked at him. "And what did you know about this?" He gestured to the bowl, the steam, the quiet room. Daigo had no answer. Rikyu taught that the purpose of the tea ceremony was not the tea. It was not the performance, the reputation, or even the craft. He called it Ichigo Ichie, this moment, once. Each bowl of tea exists once and never again. The person serving it, the person receiving it, the light in the room, unrepeatable. What Daigo had lost was his role, but Rikyu was showing him something beneath the role, the capacity to be fully present with another human being. That had never failed. He had simply never noticed it. There is a philosopher named Xunzi who wrote in ancient China that a person's nature is not fixed by what they have achieved. It is revealed by how they respond when achievement is stripped away. He believed that character is not what we build, it is what remains. Failure, in this view, is not an ending, it is a kind of excavation. It removes the surface so we can see what is underneath. What Daigo found underneath was not nothing. It was the part of him that had always loved tea, not for profit, but for the presence it required. Rikyu himself understood failure intimately. He would later be ordered to commit ritual suicide by the warlord Toyotomi Hideyoshi, a catastrophic end by any measure. And yet, in his final hours, he performed the tea ceremony one last time with complete calm. His students wept. He did not. He had long since stopped deriving his worth from outcomes. A Zen teacher named Huang Po once said that most people are enslaved to results because they have never discovered who they are without them. Rikyu had made that discovery, and in that garden, quietly, Daigo began to make it too. Daigo never rebuilt his trading house. He became instead a teacher of the tea ceremony, first to a few families in Sakai, then to many more. He had no famous name, no great wealth. But people said that being served tea by Daigo was unlike anything else. He gave each guest the sense that this moment, this cup, this conversation was the only thing that existed. That is, Ichigo Ichie lived from the inside. He had failed at having, and in the ruins he discovered being. The two are not the same thing. Most of us spend our whole lives confusing them. If you are sitting with a failure right now, a career, a relationship, a version of yourself you could not keep alive, try not to ask what comes next too quickly. Sit with the excavation for a moment. Ask instead, what is still here? What were you doing in those years that had nothing to do with success? What did you give people that was not on the invoice? That quiet thing? That is not a consolation prize. That is the deeper current. Purpose after failure does not look like rebuilding the old structure. It looks like learning for the first time what the structure was never able to hold.